So today I really need to fix my floor. I had a wall removed and the floor has been unstained for about a year and a half. So I'm just gonna try to stain it and blend it in. It's gonna be a quick fix. At the same time, I'm gonna test the camera. Let's go. So here is a good question then. Why would I use a camera that's from the early 2000s? It's 3 something megapixel. I think it's actually like 2 megapixel effective. Why would I use that camera? Idiot, crazy driver. I had the green light. She apologized, but people, you need to be careful. This is crazy. So the DC48, the reason I choose to use a camera like this is very simple. It is pretty slow to get to work and the megapixel is so low. So what it does is it kind of forces you to just really slow down and consider that composition and consider what you're doing when you're taking your photographs. Now, when you push the shutter on the DC, like nothing happens. It just makes a kind of weird whirring noise and you get like a flashing light, a flashing green light. It's almost like a vintage rangefinder, you know, like the old Yashica Electro 35. I can't really review the pictures very quickly. So kind of like 35, I have to wait to get my images back. Now, the difference is with this DC4800 is I can get home and just download those pictures off the CF card. So it's pretty fun. And just to see what it looks like, and it kind of takes me back. It's a nostalgia thing, yeah? So yeah, let's go to Lowe's, take a few pictures, and we'll see what's up. Quick floor repair, let's go. Two-part filler to fill the gaps in between the lumber and make it look beautiful. Now, it's not necessarily a case that we can't afford to shoot film. I picked up this Ultramax for $7 a roll. Yeah, that's a good deal. And this Cinestill XX, $15 a roll, a little more pricey, but a great effect. So you can see it's not ridiculously expensive. And developing these days, say 20 bucks. And yeah, that can sound expensive, but we can still afford to shoot film. It is a luxury, and a luxury I love. In order to shoot film, you have to understand that it takes time. And for those of us who are fanatical about photography and shoot every day, that all sounds very nerdy, but there's a bunch of us in the world that are like that. And for that reason, I don't really have the time to shoot film every single day. And this is why today I'm going to show you a film-like camera. That's right. This is a digital camera from the year 2000. Do you remember 2000? I don't know if you were around, but we all thought the world was going to end. We thought the millennium bug was going to cut all of the computer systems. Everything was going to crash and there'd be a mass apocalypse. It didn't happen. I was 18. I think I just got drunk and vomited. The last thing I would have done in 2000 is purchase this camera. And this is why. Back then, it was selling for around about $700 US, which is around about 16 million English pounds. This particular DC48 is mine. I picked this one up online. I saw a video on YouTube. Somebody else posted about it. They suggested it was film-like. They suggested it had a CCD sensor. So I grabbed it on eBay. It cost me not much money, a little more than I would have liked to have spent. I think it was around 25 bucks. And the battery I had to order specially as well, and that was around 15 bucks with the charger. Castar again, saved the day. This is the NP80, the NP80, and it's a 3.7 volt, beautiful little Tootsie Roll shaped camera battery. And apparently it's good for about 80 shots. So why am I bothering to show you such a random camera, such an old camera? Well, here's some of the specs that you might be interested in. It has a 3.1 megapixel CCD film-like sensor. If you don't know much about CCD sensors, trust me, the colors directly out of the sensor are mind-blowing, in my opinion. I just like the way the sensor looks. In June 2000, this camera rolled off the production line in Japan. And as we know, cameras created in Japan, thumbs up. The images that come out of it are TIFF or JPEG. Back then though, you have to imagine, people were using these, taking images and then displaying them on VGA monitors. If you know what I'm talking about, you're just as old as me. On the rear, there was a groundbreaking bit of technology, an LCD display screen. As far as taking pictures go, you look through a viewfinder, a pretty standard straight through viewfinder, and that's how you're going to create your composition. Now it's not through the lens, so the composition will be slightly off, much like a rangefinder camera. Another reason I love this. The camera has exposure compensation, but in order to look at the exposure compensation, you need to have the viewfinder on in order to see it. 3 different stops of aperture, 2.8, 5.6, and 8. Those are important numbers, and if you take pictures, you know why. But if you think about it, this camera has my favorite mode, aperture priority. And another thing I love about this is it's 333 grams. Not so small that I feel like I'm using a pocket Digicam, but big enough that I can stash it in a coat and still take it round. This particular camera I've put on my Peak Design hub so I can just ensure that I'm never going to drop my camera. Camera takes a wonderful CF card. This particular one's 4 gig and it gave me, I think, 15 to 2,000 shots, which is quite a lot. Doesn't get to work very quick, which again is why it feels like a film camera. And we have a 3 times optical zoom, which is shocking. Pop-up flash, boom, exposure compensation dials on the top, and we have an LCD display at the top as well, which again, for the time, groundbreaking. Camera feels great to take pictures with. She feels absolutely wonderful to take images with. And when I press that shutter down, it takes a second for the image to capture. If I turn the top dial to review, I can look on my LCD screen and see the previous image I captured. That's going to drain the battery. Remember, this battery doesn't last very long. If you look on the top at the moment, you can see I have 1,526 images left, and I've already taken her out on a camera walk. So I'm excited to see the images when I download them onto my laptop. So there you have it, you guys. A wonderful camera from the early 2000s that gives you vibes like film. And when I say vibes like film, I mean the megapixel count is so low that the image quality isn't going to be as sharp as some of these newer cameras. And then it takes a little while to get used to the camera. And as you're working through its modes, you're going to see that it just takes a second to get those images and compositions captured. But still, it gives you a retro dope vibe. Tell you what cameras like this do for us. They give us nostalgia, but they slow us down. In an age where everybody is in such a gosh darn rush, these older bits of technology teach us to embrace the moment, to live in the moment, to capture, to slow down. Just take a breath. That's what this does for me. It allows me to just be in my own space, to capture the images that I want, to consider my composition, and to create beautiful images. If you've never used f-stops as well, it's really nice to have those f-stops on there. Yeah, there's only 3, but you can see the difference when you just adjust that dial from 2.8 to 8. When you adjust that dial from 2.8, blurry background and bokeh, to 8, more of the composition is going to be in focus. You know I encourage 35 and 120 and get out there and do it. But in the interim, please put one of these old school Digicams in your camera bag. Thanks for stopping by, you guys. Really enjoyed my photo walk with this camera. Enjoyed fixing my floor as well. I'll see you guys on the next one.